Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name's Tony, and I want to help you learn how to design t-shirts and other things, even if you have zero design experience. Today, we'll be getting into one of those other things, and it will be this logo for a personalized coffee mug. Now, the great thing about coffee mugs is they're very cheap to produce. This one costs about $2 for the mug and the paper and ink to print it. And I could sell this personalized for $15 plus shipping. Shipping's a little bit expensive on mugs, but they make great gifts and people love to spend a little bit extra money on a nice personalized gift. So let's just jump right into the design and get to work. Okay, so we're in Adobe Illustrator. This is the logo we're going to create today. This is a version I made in color. Here's a mock-up just so we could see what it would look like on a t-shirt. And here's our two typefaces we'll be using. Glagoo Regular and Glagoo Bold. Both are available on Google Fonts for free. And so let's just jump right into this. One thing I noticed from the mug that I printed is this type right here is a little bit thin since it's reversed out. So I'll probably change that and make it bold as we go. But the first thing we need to do here is we're going to recreate this coffee mug. And this will be super simple. So let's just grab our rectangle tool, which is keyboard shortcut M. We're going to make sure that our fill color here is black and that we have no stroke color. So we're just going to make a rectangle about like that. And then we're going to get our direct selection tool. And remember, we click on this little circle here and we'll just drag it in to give that a rounded edge. So the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to get our rectangle tool again, but this time we're going to swap the fill and the stroke so we have a black stroke. We're just going to make another rectangle about like this, overlapping. And then we're going to go to our stroke palette here, and we're just going to increase the size of that stroke until it's about like that. Now I can resize this. So let's see. So it's about like that. I could even move that out a little bit. And with this selected, with the selection tool here, I can just round these corners too. And so now we have our mug and our handle. And if you don't like the proportions, you can always change them until you have something that you like. But this will work for us for now. Okay, so we have that, and now we want to make the steam shapes here. So I'm just going to get my pen tool, make sure that I'm still on a black stroke, and we're going to start with the stroke a different size. So we're going to make this back down to about 2 points just to start. I'm just going to make one anchor point, two anchor points. I'll try to line this one up with this, and you'll see my smart guide here. 3 and 4. Okay, so now that doesn't look quite like that, and this is actually reversed, but it doesn't matter. I can do that. I can use the reflect tool if I want it shaped the other way, or I can just keep it like that. So now the same thing with this selected, we're going to go in with our direct selection tool, and look at there's those curves again. We can make those curve. And I'm going to go into my stroke palette here again, and I'm going to make the cap of these round. I can make these a little bit, make this a little bit thicker. Now I'm going to make one copy. So I'm going to click with my selection tool, hold down Alt and Shift, and drag this over here. And that makes one copy. Now once I have one copy, I can press Control or Command if you're on Mac and D, and that'll just step and repeat. Okay, so now I have my four little steam things here. I can resize them if I want, if I think they're too big. And then I'll put the two edge ones where I want them. So first I'm going to select everything, hold down shift, click, hold down shift, and then move this over a little bit. Now what holding shift down does is it just keeps it on the same exact line right here. If I don't hold shift, it's easy to just kind of move it up and down without noticing. So I'm just going to do that. Oop. Hold down shift, move, let go of my mouse click, and then let go of shift. Now I want these to go from about here to about here. And you'll notice that these are unevenly spaced. I can eyeball it if I want, but what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use my selection tool, select everything, and then I'm going to go to my align palette, and I have this same one up here. Yours might look different, so we'll do the align palette. For now, we'll go to distribute objects and horizontal distribute center, and that's just going to evenly space those out. So now we have our coffee mug here. And what we can do once we have this is, if this is exactly how I want it, I'm just going to select all of this. I'll go object, expand, fill and stroke, okay. Then go to my Pathfinder and merge. Now this is all one solid object. Okay, so the next thing I want to make is my badge shape here. So I'm just going to grab my rectangle tool again. Make a rectangle about like that. And all of this you can adjust as you're designing, so it doesn't really matter. And I'm going to, for now, I'll keep this fill black, and I'm going to add 2 anchor points. So push the plus key on your keyboard, and that will bring you to this add anchor point tool. Now I'm just going to make 1 anchor point on the top, directly in the center. My smart guide will tell me when I'm intersected with the center, and I'll make 1 on the bottom here. Now I'm going to get my direct selection tool, select this top anchor point that I just made, hold down shift, click, and select the bottom one. Now I'm going to use my scale tool. That's right here. Keyboard shortcut is S. And with the scale tool, I can just click and drag out here until I have this sort of shape. Now you'll see this one is obviously narrower than this one, so I can just extend that out that way. I can even do that. Okay, so now once I have this shape about how I want it, I'm going to go to my appearance palette. I'm going to change this fill to white. And I'm going to take the stroke, move it down below the fill. And remember, this just basically makes layers out of fills and strokes. So the fill is on top, the stroke is beneath. We'll make this black. And we will give this a little bit of weight here. Now we're going to add another stroke. We'll make this one any color you want for now, just so we can see what we're doing. And once you have it about how you think you might want it, we can change that to white. We'll make 1 more stroke. We're going to make this stroke black, and we'll add it here. Okay, now I can leave this like this, or I can round these corners. Now we might want to wait until we're done designing everything else before we round the corners, just to make sure that our proportions are the way we want them, so we won't have to adjust the radius of the corners again later. So we'll leave this like this for now. So now I have these 2 objects. Now you'll notice, since I drew the coffee mug first, it is behind this border here that we just created. So I'll select this coffee mug, object, arrange, bring to front, and all of these show you your keyboard shortcuts. So the bring to front keyboard shortcut is Shift, Control, right bracket. Move this down here. We can range, bring this to the front, and we can resize this. Now, remember, I want to hold down Shift while I'm resizing. Otherwise, this thing's going to just go all over the place and become distorted. So hold down Shift. And we'll move this up here a little bit. All right, so now we're going to write our name here. And this first one we're using is this Glagoo Bold. So we'll write all caps, Tony's Now I can have this inside of the border if I want, or I can have it extend to the edges like this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to drag my type to the edges and then move this down. What I'll need to do here is just create a white panel. So I'll make sure that this is no longer selected. Actually, I move it in place where I want it here. Use my direct selection tool, then I just click somewhere on the artboard to make sure this isn't selected. So I will grab my rectangle tool again. Make sure that it's set to white for the color. Then I'll just click and drag about like this here. It's a little taller, so it covers the entire word. And then I'll just go Object, Arrange, and instead of send to the back, we're just going to send backwards, which is Control left bracket. And that will move it down one layer. So now we have our text and our border being broken, and we can make this a little taller, just judging by our last versions of this. Okay, now, so the next thing I want to do is make this banner. And this is going to be really simple. We're just going to take our rectangle tool again, drag this here, make sure that this has a fill of black and no stroke for now. And then we're going to take the same Glagoo Bold again. Since I thought this was too thin, we'll make it bold this time. And we'll type out coffee shop. We'll move this out of the way. We'll make this about how big we want it. Here. And then what we're going to do here is we're just going to take this tracking out. Not horizontal scale, we want the tracking. And I want to make sure this is centered. Make sure all of these are centered before we do anything else. And that way when we're making our personalizations, we don't have to worry about redoing everything all the time because the letters went in one direction the wrong way. So we're going to adjust that here. We'll bring this down here. And right now I'm not really worried about things being centered or anything like that because I'll be adjusting elements and then centering everything towards the end here. Resize that a little bit. I'll make that smaller. And you're constantly, while you're designing, you're usually constantly just adjusting things so they look right to you. Okay, so now we can make this actually a different color for now. Just want to make sure that this that the text is inside of this box and there's enough space on both sides. And now actually I will select one thing I need to do here, since I adjusted the tracking, I need to select this last letter and then set this tracking back to 0. Otherwise, when I center everything, this will be over a little bit. Okay, so right now I'm going to select everything, go to my align tool and center it. And the reason I want to do this is I'm going to make this banner in 2 parts. So I want to adjust this banner to where I think the edge should be. And then this one, I'm just going to drag this so it's in the center of our design. Okay. So I'm going to move this down. Now, what happens sometimes with this text is, see, this text is here, but there's this big giant box. And so anytime I try to select any of this, it's going to select everything. So I'll actually select both of these words right now. Click this one with my selection tool, hold shift and click, and I will go to object, lock, selection, which the keyboard shortcut is Control 2 or Command 2 if you're on Mac. So now I can't select this type anymore, which is fine for now because I'm just going to move this down. I'm going to make a copy of this. So I'll use my selection tool, hold down Alt, and just make a copy of this. I'm just going to make this smaller here this way. And then I'll intersect this center to the left boundary here of this box. I'm just going to move it up a little bit. And now this box is in front of this box, so I'll grab this and I will, hold on, we'll make these 2 different colors for now. Make this one black. Now I'm going to select this one and go to Object, Arrange, bring forward. Now this is in front of this. Okay, so the next thing I want to do here is I want to add an anchor point. So I'm going to use the Add Anchor Point tool, add one right in the center here, then use my direct selection tool, make sure this anchor point selected, hold down Shift, and just drag that in. Okay, now actually what I could have done here, and I will do it now, is since this is a pretty simple ribbon, I'll move this back up here. And extend this to the length that I want it to extend. Then I'll move this back to the center. Then I can move this back down and work on it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with this is I'll select this little end that I made. Hold down Alt and Shift, duplicate it, and then I can just rotate this 180 degrees. And then same thing, I'm going to align this center point with the edge. So now these are both the same. Okay, so what I need to do here is you'll see that there's a little bit of a break in between of negative space. So I'll select this original box, go to my Appearance panel again, move the fill to the front. We're going to add a white stroke. And then just make this however big we think it needs to be. For me, this is going to be about 3 points. Okay, we'll select these 2. We can use the eyedropper here to make them the same color as this, but actually that adds a stroke. So we'll just make these black. All right, so now I can select all of this and group these objects. Now, the reason I want to group these objects is if I don't and I center everything, then it's just going to move these objects that we made on the edges right to the center. So if I group it, now this all acts as one group. Okay, we're going to change this. Or we're going to, now we need to, I grouped everything. Okay, so now what we need to do here is unlock our type so we can start editing that again. So Object, Unlock All. We're going to select this coffee shop type and we'll make it white. We're just going to move this up here. Now, if we think this is too close to the edge, which it is now, we can just make this a little bit bigger. Okay. So now we have those elements ready. And you could be done with it at this point, but I do feel like the more personalization you add, the more likely you are to make a sale on this. So now we'll add our city, Gardena, California, and we're using this as that regular instead of the bold. Move this towards the center here, and we'll just resize that. I'm holding Option and Shift. If I just hold Shift, it's going to move things from one side. If I hold down Option, it's going to do it from the center out. And if I hold down Shift, it's going to constrain our proportions. So we'll do that here. And then make one more line of type here. Establish 2021. Move that here. Resize that however we want. Now we have our design. And if we like that, then we can select this object in the back, go to our direct selection tool, and just give those a curve if we want. We can leave them squared if we want. It doesn't really matter. This is all up to you. Okay, so if this is a design we like, then what I'm going to do now is I'll select everything. Let's erase all this so we're not selecting a bunch of extra stuff. Okay, so what I'll do here is I'll select everything, and then I'll go through with my direct selection tool, hold Shift, and click each line of type so the type's not affected. I'll go to Object, Expand Appearance, and then Expand, and again, Fill and Stroke. Okay. Now this is split this up into a bunch of different objects, so then we'll use our Pathfinder again here to merge. And now what that does is this brought everything to the front. So now I can go Object, Arrange, and send to the back. Okay, so now what we're left with is this basic design, but now we still have this white. And we don't want that, especially if we're cutting things out in vinyl. All right, so we're going to get our direct selection tool, click on this white background here, go to Select, Same, Fill and Stroke, and this is also selecting this text here, so I'll just use the same direct selection tool, hold down Shift, and click on this line, and now the text isn't selected. And I will push the Delete key on my keyboard, and we're left with that. And now you'll notice that this black doesn't match this black. For some reason, in my swatches, this wasn't a rich black, so I can just do the same thing. Direct selection tool, click, hold down Shift, click, hold down Shift, click, hold down Shift, click. Use my eyedropper, push the I key on my keyboard, and then just sample this color. And now we have everything's that nice rich black. Okay, so with that done, now I can resize this without my strokes or corner radiuses changing. And remember, we hold down Shift when we resize, otherwise we'll get distorted. So we have this ready to go. We can change this to any name at all. You know, like I was said in the previous videos, if you're not working on personalized stuff, then this could be Daddy's, Mom's, anything you want, and you're good to go. And this is, again, really super easy to change or to edit to make different variations as people buy them. And if a name is too big or too small, then you can also adjust. So let's say it's TJ's. I can keep this like this, but we have these weird breaks. So that's one time when I actually like to keep a second copy of this unmerged, so I can adjust my my border here. No matter what you do, as long as you keep an unmerged version of this, you can always resize things if someone wants something that doesn't have. Oh, so yeah, so actually what I would do here is if it was just 3, like say TJs, then I can just get rid of that and resize that. And that would be an easy way to personalize it. Like I said, you don't have to have this break in the design. You can just design it like this. You could sell mugs, you could sell t-shirts, you could sell aprons, you can sell a number of things with this design. And I find that for me, it's one of the best ways to get consistent sales on Etsy. So anyways, that's it for today. We'll see you on the next one. Please let me know if you have any questions, if this is working for you, if you have any success. I have a Facebook group that I will link in the description. Please join and let me know if you have any questions or want to critique or need some advice. I love helping. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching and keep on designing.